Hi everybody, so today is another eyeshadow review. I'm going to be reviewing the Physicians Formula Rosé All Play palette, this little guy. Before I get into that though, I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody that watched my last video and who commented and showed their support, gave me a like, all of that good stuff, because you guys are awesome and I really appreciate it. I'm so thankful, and it just makes me really excited that I'm able to come back and still interact with you guys, and that you guys are still showing me support after all this time. It means the world to me, and I'm really looking forward to this journey and hopefully what we all can achieve together. So I just wanted to thank you for that. It's really something amazing. So this is the palette that we will be reviewing today. I've not swatched it. I have not used it, and it's just been sitting here because I've been wanting to make a video for so long now. I wouldn't use it because I wanted to save it for like a first impression video. So here we are. We're here today. We're going to be using this thing. I have no makeup on right now, as you can see. So I figured I would start with a clean face, and then I would, like off camera, put my face makeup on and everything, and then come back. We'll do the eyes. But I did just want to show what I look like without any makeup. This is it. This is me. Before I go and put my regular makeup on, I do just want to say that not every video is going to be makeup related or beauty related. I really want to do lifestyle videos, or, videos about health or mental health, or, I'd love to vlog, love DIY stuff. So it's not just going to be makeup related, but just to get started back, these are the things that I was hoping to make videos about at some point. I'm getting these done first, but we'll see what comes in the future. So I'm going to put on my face makeup, and then I will be back to test out this palette. Alright, I'm back. So the face that I did is pretty much the same one I did in the last video. So that is the MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation with the Too Faced Do You powder. I used the same concealer, which is the Maybelline Age Rewind. I used a different blush, so I used a powder blush this time. Last time I used cream, but this time I used Palladio's Baked Blush in the shade Blushin', which is this beautiful, I love shimmery blushes. I think I said that in the last video. I love anything that just adds, shine to the face, but naturally. So this is really great. Then I used for highlight, normally I use a highlight from the palette, but this one doesn't really have that, plus these glitters are chunky, so they're not a satiny finish. So I used one of my holy grails, which is the Revlon Skin Lights highlighter in the shade Daybreak Glimmer, and it's this beautiful champagne-y color, but it's intense. I like a more natural highlight. I forgot how crazy pigmented this one is, so you can see it's boom. It's dang. This side you can't see because there's no light reflecting, but this is a good. That was it. That's all I used. That's my skin base. Now before we get into this, I do just want to preface by saying I do have some psoriasis on my eyes right now. It looks like I just haven't cleaned my eyes, but trust me, they're clean. It's just dry skin and psoriasis. So you'll see in here and over here, and it's not as bad as on this side, but so take that into consideration with this review. I'm not gonna take any points away. I can usually tell, despite having psoriasis, how I feel about an eyeshadow palette. So what we're gonna do is just start out with some eye primer. So this is my MAC Painterly Paint Pot. Should I zoom you in? I'll zoom you in. Hold on. So forgive me, there might be some hiccups here and there. I'm still getting set up. Forgive me if things aren't as perfect as they should be. I know this lighting is a little bit wonky, but I'll fix it through time. Just gonna take a brush and blend that out. Mostly tapping it in, not so much dragging it in, or rubbing it, just kind of tapping it in. This particular shade of Paint Pot is actually too dark for my skin. Doesn't match my skin perfectly, but I like using it because it has a bit of a orange to it. It has a bit of a coral in it. And I really like that because it cancels out my veins in my eyelid. This here is the palette. It's beautiful. It's a really nice basics palette, which I love. I love a good basics, like a nude palette that you could wear every single day. I love it. So the first shade I'm going to use is called Bottomless Brunch. So it's this shade right here. I'm going to take just like a light blending brush, nothing too crazy, and pack that on my lids, like as a nice base, so that everything just kind of blends nicely together to set that primer. So I'm next going to go in with the shade Super Bloom. This one. The names are on the back, so it's kind of hard to... Yeah, I'm going to go in with Super Bloom. And this is going to be my crease shade. Now immediately I can tell you there's a lot of kickback in the pan, which is when you put your brush in, it gets very powdery. That's okay, you know, some formulas are like that, but sometimes that can mean that there will be some form of fallout as you're blending, but we'll see, you know. So I'm gonna put this in my crease. It's pigmented, but the shade is going on a little bit lighter than the shade looks in the pan. So what I'm going to do is put it into my crease and then just diffuse it outwards so that it's like a fan of color. That's what it looks like on my eye. And this is it in the pan. So it's just a little bit lighter and pinker than how it actually looks. It looks more like a light burgundy, I guess. Or like a dark mauve, maybe. It blends beautifully. So I'm going to clean that brush off, and then I'm just going to blend like the edges a little bit to fan it out a little bit more for a better blend. Okay, so this is what we're starting with. Really pretty. So this is where we are. Not bad. I did have to dip in a couple times to get enough pigment to add depth into the crease. Because the thing is sometimes, you know, obviously you want a formula that's going to blend really, really well. Sometimes when you get a formula that's really powdery, hence the kickback, it blends too much. Like, they blend away, almost. There is enough pigment. You can see clearly, like, there's pigment, right? There's color. They are not as opaque as what they look in the pan. Obviously, I've only used 2 shades. We're going to see what happens. But the base shade and this shade both weren't exactly the most opaque. They're more of like a wash of color than packing on pigment. So I'm going to do like I'm going to bring that blend a little bit out with what's left on the brush. I wiped it off, but sometimes a little color remains. So I'm just going to bring it out just a little bit. Yeah, just to kind of get like a elongated shape. Next we are going to go in with Berry Chic. This really pretty berry color, and obviously we're going to put that into the crease. I'm going to use a different brush for this one. If you hear digging in the background, my dog is chewing a bone and she's trying to hide it. So she's digging everywhere. And there's somebody cutting their grass and I can't do anything about the noise. So I'm going to take like a flat, this looks sturdy, there's no pigment on it. It's clean, it's just stained. I'm going to take that Berry Chic. Whoa. Pigmented. Tap that. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Let's see how this goes. I am just putting it into the crease. Oh wow. Okay. Let's just kind of pack it on It looks messy. We're gonna blend. I always do this too, like when I do add darker shades sometimes, I like to just roughly like stamp them where I want like the depth the most to be, like where I want to focus that color, and then I'll work on diffusing it out. So we're going to take that same blending brush, it's still clean, no other pigment on it, and we're just going to do this, blend it in. So I really like that shade. It's really pretty. It adds like such a pretty depth. Oh, yes. I'm looking in the mirror. I like it. Okay, so I do think that this palette suffers from the same thing that the last palette suffered from, which is that there isn't such a deep shade. I mean, yes, we have some good dark moments here, but it's nothing that is so deep that when you add it, you really have that option to smoke out if you want. Personally, with this look, I love this tone of shade, so with this look, I wouldn't use a darker shade, but I do think that there is like it could use one more level deeper. Not quite a black, but like a really deep burgundy, like a blood red would have been really nice. Now, the direction I want to take this in, I'm going to swatch the shimmers. I'm not going to lie, they're beautiful, but they're kind of dry, but then they're also sticky, like almost wet, but they're chunky, so I don't know. It almost feels like a formula that you don't want to use wet. So what I want to do first, before I get into that, is take a little bit of concealer and cut my crease. I'm going to use Jeffree Star concealer. Just put a little bit on my hand. I'm going to take the same brush that I used to blend out my base. And I'm just going to add that on top. Just on my lid though. I have hooded eyes, so doing a cut crease can be kind of difficult because you can get transfer very easily on top. So I like to just keep my cut crease on my lid, actually. Bring it up to the crease, but don't go into the crease. I'll show you exactly what I mean after this is all blended in. Definition. Separation. So I'm going to try 2 different techniques. Out of these 4 shades, I really like that middle shade. That like rose color. It's like a rosy champagne color. I like that. That color is called Yes Way Rosé. So I'm going to put it all over the lid. I'm going to try with my finger first, and we're going to see how it applies. Might add setting spray, like to wet it a little bit. We'll try brush on one eye, finger on the other. We'll see how it all goes. So I'm just going to rub in to this shade right here. You can see it's really chunky. So what I'm going to do is actually like tap it onto my hand like this, just to kind of get down those chunks. And we're going to put it on this eye. Oh. Oh, what is that? Oh. Okay. Finger success. I like that. A lot of fallout. But if you put this on before foundation or you powdered, no problem. Wow, that is beautiful. That's so pretty. So now we're going to use a brush, which because that applies so nicely with the finger, I don't think it's going to work well with a brush, but it's worth trying. Oh yeah, no. So I'll show you what happens. The formula is chunky, no problem. But when you use a brush, you can see it breaks it apart. So actually, I'm gonna do it on my hand and just see what it looks like with a brush, because this is gonna be like lots of fallout. Yeah, so it goes on like that with a brush, which isn't ideal. So I'm gonna actually spray my finger just to wet it, and we're gonna see. So it does melt in a good way. It's not as chunky when it's wet. It's almost like it really does melt all together. I like that. And it gives more of a foiled look. Whereas this is more of like a chunky. This is more like, oh, glitter, like a glitter texture. And this is more like a wet eyeshadow texture. So let me know, what do you like better? I think I like this better just because that texture it gives, it's like dimensional, you know, like different light hits different spots at different times. So it really does give like a really nice shiny look. This is just more like a metallic eyeshadow. So let me know which side you like better. You know, do you like it dry? Do you like it wet? I am going to take a dry finger and just kind of tap it on top just to make them the same on both sides. I'm going to take the brush with the berry shade on it. I'm not adding any pigment to it. I am just going to pop that in the crease a little bit, whatever is left. I'm going to clean my blending brush again, and I'm really, really lightly just going to rock this in the crease just to give that line definition. I'm going to do eyeliner today because I like the way eyeliner looks with dark crease and a light eyelid. I love like liner just brings it all together. So I'm going to use liner. This is an eyeliner that I got for Christmas. It is the brand, I don't know how to pronounce it, Mascara makeup. It's shiny like this. I will link it in the description. It's plain black eyeliner. It's beautiful though, and it lasts a really good time, especially with my oily lids, and my eyes water a lot, I cry a lot, so this lasts really good. Mascara Makeup Fashion Eyeliner. I'll link it in the description because this is a weird name and it's weird spelling. This is what it looks like. And we're just gonna do a little wing. My wings obviously to follow the line of my under eye, and I do sometimes, but not often. I only do this when I mess up on my eyeliner, but usually I don't bring it down into the corner of my eye. I like this part to be open, as I said in my last video. So I usually will end it where my pupil starts on this side. But like I said, if I mess up, I bring it all the way in, no big deal. But I just like, obviously I just like the way that looks. So while the eyeliner dries, I'm going to work on the bottom lashes very briefly. I don't usually use much on my lower lashes, but there's a shade in here that is perfect. Like literally perfect. This is the shade that I think should be in every single eyeshadow palette because this is my favorite shade to put on my bottom lashes. And this shade is called Sure, Why Not? And it's this color. It's like the perfect cool toned taupe. So this is the kind of brush I use. It's really little, but it's fluffy. Very lightly tap it. And I'm again just putting it right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in close. I'm going to connect it to underneath my eyeliner. And I'm going to bring it to here. Okay, last but not least, is going to be adding some highlight to my eyes. Again, these are chunky glitter shades, so there's no real highlight in here. This is matte. Of course, you can always do a matte highlight. I'm not a fan of matte highlights on myself, personally. So I'm going to use my face highlight. And I'm going to put that everywhere. Next, lashes, and then we're done. So a few of you asked for that mascara, the one I was talking about before. the amazing one that's only $5 stinking. I've got some messages and requests about the name, things like that, so I'm going to use it again because, again, it's like my go-to mascara. So I'm going to link it in the description as well, so that way it's easy access. You can grab yourself one. And I'm going to link the palette in the description as well, so take a look for the palette and the mascara. So the mascara is Essence Lash Princess. It looks like this. And I'm going to pop it on real quick. On the top only. I'm going to do the bottom lashes with my Revlon all-in-one. Now I'm going to do a second coat on my top lashes, just real quick. I'm going to zoom you out. So this is the finished look. It's basic. It's not anything life-changing or world-altering. You know, it is a neutral look. I mean, I love it personally. I think it's so pretty. I'm going to throw on some lip gloss real quick. It's nothing over the top. It's very basic, neutral. I like that about this look, and I like that about this palette because I love playing. As a matter of fact, the next video might be a look that is over the top or dramatic or colorful or something like that because I love playing with makeup. I love seeing what I can come up with and being creative with colors and just everything. I love it. And I love watching people that do dramatic makeup like that. However, in my everyday life, these are the kind of looks that I like to wear. When I was going to work, this is the makeup that I would do. Just kind of basic, light. And I think a palette like this in particular is not only awesome for a beginner, because these are easy shades to work with. They all blend together beautifully. You can do a light look, you could do a smoky look. Granted, there isn't the deep shade that I think every palette needs to have, but you can obviously do something really pretty with this palette. And this is the kind of palette, because of the warm berry tones, if you ignore my cat, because of the warm berry tones, this could be used for the spring very easily. Like, I think the look that I'm wearing now is very spring. Or you could use this as a fall palette. Now, personally, I don't follow like seasonal trends. Like, I'm very much like, if I want to wear a dark smoky look on, you know, the middle of the summer and then wear like pastels in the winter time, like, I'm gonna do that. So with that said, let's talk about performance. So the shades are pigmented. There is no doubt about that. They're very pigmented. They are not necessarily opaque. So there's a difference between pigmented and opaque. Opaque means that when you see a shadow in the pan, when you swatch it, it is pure pigment. What you see in the pan is what you get. And then there are shades that are pigmented, but they're a little bit less opaque, a little bit more transparent, meaning that when you see them in the pan, they're great, but when you swatch them or blend them, they give more of a wash of color. I hope I explained that well. This is something that we can discuss in the future if you would like a video of opaque versus pigmented and examples and what that means when you're looking for an eyeshadow palette. I can definitely do that. Some of you might be interested, some may not. It really depends on how into makeup you are to know how to differentiate. I can definitely do that for you. Let me know in the comments. The shimmer shades in this palette are described on the back as being able to use wet or dry. That's true. I do think that that is accurate. Overall, the texture of the shimmers are just very dry, chunky, and they do cause fallout. Now, it goes on beautifully. Like, I mean, on my eyes, I mean, it's beautiful. I have no complaints whatsoever. But it's just, they are facts for you to know if you are interested in this palette. Like, if fallout bothers you a lot, you know, it might not be for you. If you don't mind chunky glitters, that's great. Then this palette is good for you. If you don't like the texture of chunky glitters, or you like a creamier, wetter kind of shimmer, this isn't for you. You know, I'm just trying to like share the facts. Personally, I think that this is a really great go-to palette. I love palettes like this that I can sit down and I can throw a couple shades on my eyes. I'm good to go. I have one palette. I can bring this with me in my purse for touch-ups if I need it. So something that I do think is important is knowing the price of this palette and what they're charging. I just Googled it and they are going for about $15 to $18. $18 for this kind of palette is a bit steep. I would say like 12 to 14 is reasonable. Up to 18, it's just a bit steep. Just for the performance. I would expect a little bit higher quality for that price tag. Now with that said, if you can get this on sale, because drugstores always have makeup sales or beauty sales, if you can get this on sale, I would jump for it. I think it's really good and it's really handy. And so if you can get it on sale, definitely, if you're interested, jump on it. I don't feel good saying that it's $18 for drugstore. Now Physicians Formula always has a little bit higher prices than your average drugstore price. However, drugstore prices are going up and it's insane. I don't know why everybody's prices are just continuing to go up. It's the drugstore. And yeah, you can get things on sale, but I mean, there are those of us who don't have high incomes that still want to look good, you know what I mean? So, just because you're upping the quality of drugstore makeup doesn't necessarily mean that you should be upping the prices as much. If you're upping the quality, you have higher quality ingredients, products, that's fine. Up the prices accordingly, but sometimes seeing how expensive things are just really drives me crazy. I worked in retail, working in a company, or in a business rather, where I was seeing what the cost of product was versus what we were selling it for. And I can tell you that things are marked up to 60%. And I just think it's such an injustice. Like, I really, really do. So, you know, consider that these companies are making these palettes for maybe $5 per palette and they're selling it for $18. They could sell it for $12, and still make double. But business is business. Unfortunately, that's capitalism and that's the world that we live in. However, I really wish that they would just kind of remember who they're marketing for or to. Just because high-end is selling a $70 foundation doesn't mean that your $20 foundation is miraculously cheap. You know, it's like, no, like drugstore used to be a $10 foundation. You know, if you want to meet in the middle, do 15, who cares? But the reality is that they're marking up prices way beyond sometimes what products are really worth. So for this particular palette, I think that if you can get it on sale, that's great. A palette that's $15, that's actually worth $15, is this palette, the Arabian Nights Koki. This palette, not only do you get all of these shades, but they're so high quality and amazing. I have the counterpart to that palette. I did purchase it. Well, let me get that plastic off, but it looks beautiful. I am really excited to mess around with this. There's so many unique shades. So, judging by the quality of that palette, the Arabian Nights, this is called Pure Magic. I am so excited to use this one. So when there are companies that are selling palettes between $10 and $20 and they are so high quality, like Juvia's Place, like Morphe, like BH Cosmetics, where ColourPop, where their quality is so high for the price that they're charging, and they give you palettes full of shades, like so many shades, you know, and then you see this palette that's $18 and you just compare the quality versus what you're actually getting, how many shades you're getting. Despite this palette being a good palette, I'm happy I have it. I just don't recommend spending that much for this particular palette. If you're on a budget, I would check out Juvia's Place. Like I said, BH, Morphe, they have sales all the time. Morphe gives you a 10% discount code. You could watch literally any influencer on YouTube, any beauty guru, and they probably have a 10% discount code with Morphe. Juvia's Place always has sales. BH always has sales. A lot of these drugstore companies are forgetting why they were loved in the first place. That's all I have to say about that. That being said, there are high-end brands that are really great as well. Obviously, I splurge. I spend on Jeffree Star cosmetics. I think that's like the only big brand that I actually have most of the palettes. Like, I've spent money on the palettes. Jeffree Star, his formula is like impeccable and it never disappoints and it lasts forever and it's great. So it's worth the money. Sorry. That was a long rant, but this palette's good. Is it as good as the price tag? No. Is it worth the price tag? No. If you see it on sale, I would grab it. It's a really nice palette. You can get some cute looks with it. Personally, I love berry tones. I love warm tones. I have green eyes, so I like these kind of shades, so this is a good palette for me. So if you were thinking about getting this palette, there you go. That's my review. That's all I have to say. It's a really pretty look. I'm really, really happy with it. I want to try to make a DIY face setting spray, so I'm looking into that. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. Let me know anything. Do you want to vlog? I'm happy to do anything that you guys want me to do. So I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for letting me ramble and actually listening to me ramble. I hope you all are staying safe, staying sane in quarantine, especially if you're high risk. I hope you're taking care of yourself and your friends, your family, and your community. I love you all. I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.